Hey everyone, good morning. Patricia Falchetti here from Social Living Solutions. I wanted to come on this morning and just do a live on ADHD and medications and the burning question of whether to medicate or not, side effects, what they do, how they affect the brain, and all of the issues that many of us think about for ourselves and for our children. So I just wanted to come on and address some of these things today. Now, if you are watching at the moment while I'm on, please let me know. And if you have any questions, put them in comments. If you watch later on, please put hashtag replay in the comments so that I know that you've watched. And if you do have any questions after the live, please also put those in the comments and I will endeavor to answer them. I'm sorry. Now, I'm just going to be looking up and down a bit today because I've got some notes here that I want to that I have for myself, just so that I don't miss what I'm saying to you and the information that I want to give you, because this is quite a complex topic. Please be mindful that today I'm speaking to you from my own personal experience within my own family and my professional experience as well in working with and supporting others with ADHD. So, as not to assume all knowledge, I'll start by giving you a brief overview as to how ADHD affects the brain in terms of executive function, transmitters within our brains, and dopamine levels. So, we all know that ADHD affects executive function. Well, I'm saying most of us would know that, but do we actually know how it affects executive function and why it affects executive function? So think of executive function in terms of the inner workings of your brain and your ability to organize and prioritize tasks and daily functions that you need to do or perform to get through each and every day successfully. As you can imagine, these tasks can change daily. We all know that in our work and our lives, we have different tasks that we have to complete and get through every day. With an ADHD brain, these executive functions are very difficult to manage or support to function. Executive function takes place in the prefrontal cortex of our brain, so that's the front part of our brain. And the prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that makes all the decisions from all the information that actually comes in from all the other different parts of the brain. So think of the prefrontal cortex is the organizer, if you like, or the executive functioning part, and all the other parts of the brain are feeding all of the information to the prefrontal cortex, and that has to sort out the information and decide what to do with it. Now, we know that neurotransmitters within the brain affect executive function. Neurotransmitters are the neurochemicals that are responsible for alerting the executive function into action, maintaining consistent alertness, and creating motivation. Therefore, neurotransmitters are like the fuel that gets our executive function stimulated. Neurotransmitters are the chemical messages, and communication messages between nerve cells within our brains and between our brains and the rest of our body. What happens with an ADHD brain is that these neurotransmitters are reduced by a chemical imbalance. And we know that people with ADHD, such as myself and all others that do, have low dopamine levels and low noradrenaline as part of the chemical imbalance within our brains. So dopamine is linked to movement, sleep, attention, and learning. Noradrenaline is both a hormone and a neurotransmitter that increases arousal, alertness, promotes vigilance, formation, and arousal of memory, and focuses attention. So as you can start to see, the problem here that the ADHD brain lacks in these two neurotransmitters. And you can also see from what I'm saying how executive function might be affected. So now you know this, you might understand why people seek medication, as they are at an obvious disadvantage day to day due to something they have no control over. So how do we make the decision to medicate or not? There are many issues that are associated with medication and medicating. And also too, I want to start and preface by saying that medication is not the only answer. So I'm going to give you first of all, the alternatives to not medicating, or the alternatives that can work really, really well in conjunction with medication. So we know that, and there's research around this. So when I say we know, there is research, and I've read a lot of research around this. So we know that being in nature, being out in the open, really, really helps the ADHD brain. We know that regular exercise, good nutrition, good sleep, and meditation and mindfulness practices greatly assist the ADHD brain. Now, this is with regular practice that meditation and mindfulness really help. So to use myself as an example, I work with business coach Janelle Watson, who some of you will know, who her and her husband, they taught me present moment awareness. Now, I have found present moment awareness to be really, really helpful with my ADHD, and really help to keep me focused and to keep me switched on. But I had to learn present moment awareness and how to use it and bring it into my daily life. So just to repeat that, nature, being in nature, being out in the open, exercise, regular exercise, good sleep, and nutrition, diet is really, really important to help with the ADHD brain. And that's because these things, well, we know exercise increases dopamine levels. We know good sleep helps with dopamine levels and noradrenaline. So that's why these things are really, really important. But we also know that people with ADHD do struggle with having good sleep, and that's because their minds are so active and going at such a fast rate. So that's where things like meditation and mindfulness come in, because if we use those practices, they can help us to get to sleep and to sleep better. The other thing to think about or to consider with ADHD medications, we know that there are a number of serious side effects and a number of general side effects. So some of these are irritability, moodiness, anxiety, headaches, stomach aches, and like issues with your gut, fast heart rate, so a faster, more heightened heart rate, and high blood pressure. Now, these are the more common known side effects of ADHD medication, and like with all individuals, they will affect some people more than others. Some people won't get any, some people get all of them. I've worked with clients who have tried certain ADHD medications, and it's made their anxiety so bad that they had to come off it. So it actually exacerbated and increased their anxiety. Another thing that I want to talk to you about, and I'm just going to touch on today, and I encourage you to research this, is that something that they don't talk about is particularly when going on ADHD medications when you're younger and when your brain is developing, that there is the possibility that the ADHD medications can trigger far more serious mental health disorders than ADHD, and they're disorders such as bipolar, and they tell you that there's a 1 in 10,000 chance of you or your child of developing this, but from my reading and my understanding, the statistics are actually much, much higher. But this is something that isn't widely discussed. Now, the other thing to consider, and this is where there's the weighing up, is that ADHD medications can be a game changer. So I resisted taking medication for a long time myself because I was worried about the side effects and things like that. And then I tried medication, and I found that it was really, really helpful and really useful for me. Similarly, for my son, the same thing, and for some of my clients, the same thing. So this is the, I guess, paradox with taking medication, is that it can be really, really useful, but you do need to be mindful of the side effects. The other thing too is that you might need to trial different medications, because some medications, such as the more popular, well-known ones, such as Vyvanse and medications like that, really raise anxiety levels, can really raise anxiety levels and stress levels and make your heart beat faster and cause quite serious side effects around sleep and things like that. Whereas other ones such as Ritalin and some of the older drugs don't tend to have as many of these side effects. So there's the thing of trialing medications. There is the trialing them, looking at the different side effects. The other thing is consideration of that it might or could possibly trigger more serious mental health conditions later on in life. And I think that this is something to really, really seriously think about, particularly with a developing brain. Then there's also bringing in the other things and really looking into how these things can help the ADHD brain, such as being in nature more often, regular exercise, good sleep, things like that. So with a lot of my clients, I will encourage that they take regular breaks, that they go out into nature, no matter whether they're an adult or a child, when they're working or things like that they get outside daily. They go for a walk at lunchtime. They maybe go out for a walk with a colleague, and instead of having a meeting indoors, do a walk and talk where you're having a meeting but you're out in nature, because this will switch the ADHD brain on, because it will increase the dopamine levels straight away by being outside, being in the sunshine and feeling the fresh air. So then the dopamine kicks in, so then the ADHD brain starts to work better. So that, and then with some of, younger clients too, also just taking breaks, going outside, jumping on a trampoline, having movement breaks at school and things like that. So there are other things that we can do to mitigate the symptoms within the ADHD brain. But what sometimes happens is that these interventions, these natural interventions are not enough, and sometimes medication is required. The other thing to realize too about the medication is that you do not have to take it every day. So for me, for example, I will only take medication when I have a day that I know that I have a lot of meetings and that I really need to focus. I know quite a few of my clients do the same thing. They will only take it when they have assignments due, or they have a lot of study to do, or they have to go to work. So these are the different things to think about and consider when thinking about medication. But what I'm saying to you too is to do your research the medication, be prepared that it might take time to find the right medication, and be prepared that it might be trial and error. But also in the same vein as well, is also with the natural things that help too. Try them first, and be really, really on top of those, and have those going regularly and with good practice, so that when you bring in medication, whether it is making a difference, whether it is necessary to take it every day, or whether you can only have to take it when you need it. So this is just a brief overview that I have decided to come on and do today. I will, in the future, probably go more into this as I do more and more research around it, because I believe that it is really, really important. And the thing is that I also feel it's really important to know how ADHD affects the brain, because often kids are labeled, kids and adults, as being lazy or being disorganized or not thinking or being impulsive or whatever. But when you understand how ADHD affects that prefrontal cortex of the brain, you understand why you see these behaviors. So please, again, as I said, if you watch this later on, please put #replay. Please put questions in the questions in the comments section, or feel free to PM me, message me. My mobile number and my messenger are on my page, or also you can get in contact with me through my website. So there's many ways you can get in contact with me and ask me further questions if you like. Have a fantastic day, everyone.